Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Gracious good morning to you, good people. It's your girl KB. You know what I do, and you know why I do it. It is Tuesday morning. It is exactly 3:33 in the a.m. and it is September 2nd. Now, I toyed with the idea of posting what I'm about to say, and I initially thought, nah, not gonna do it. I'm just not going to do it. And one of the reasons why I wasn't going to do it is because it makes me feel bad and makes me look silly. But I heard my grandmother's voice, tell it before it gets told. And I also was reminded by something I just posted relatively recently. Okay. So as far as tell it before it gets told, I've told bits and pieces of it. But I'm going to tell it in its entirety. One, because I'm tired of holding on to it. And two, I'm tired of revisiting it. And error. Notice how I said that, error so often. You know, we have to revisit so we don't repeat. Okay? So here goes, folks. You know, a while back, around COVID time. So it's been a minute since I've socialized and all that good stuff. Connected with somebody who I'm not going to lie, I was interested in. And we just became firm, fast buddies. At one point, just referring to ourselves as ride or die friends. And I'm loyal to a fault. And here's my fault, presented to me now. And I'm living with loyal to a fault. And that individual is basically, I'm ride or die too, And we were cool, just firm, fast friends. And then they said something and feelings kind of shifted. And we were still kicking it and, respecting boundaries. And I'm not one to, shoot craps with my body. Let's put it like that. Never have been. And, so things went along smoothly. But everything in this, particular connection was me asking, hey, you want to go hang out? You want to do this? Me being the initiator and instigator in activities. Me, hey, how was your day? Me, hey, I respect you, I appreciate you. Notice how many times I said me. Hey, you had a tough week, want to go hang out? I'll treat you, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do the other. This went on for a good while because both chose to be isolated, both chose to connect with one another. It was basically trauma bonding. And for me, I was love bombing. Have to look at me. Have to look at my presentation. So be it. In the meantime and in between time, my mom was showing signs of dementia. And then one day I got a phone call, she's in the hospital. Boom. So I was spending weekends traveling from where I live to go look after Mom. And after she was put in the hospital, I had to make a decision quick, fast, and in a hurry on where to send her because they were going to send her home, and it was clear that she was not able to take care of herself. So I listened to the hospital social worker as she presented all these wonderful places, and their ratings. And the first one that had a higher rating was in a little small town that I knew to be very racist. So I'm not going to put my mom in a space where, I can't get to her right away. The second place had a lower rating, not that much lower, but it was a place I was familiar with. It was in the city that my mom lived in, so, everybody had access. So I made that decision. Mind you, during this time, my sister was out of the country, so, I relied on my ride or die for support, and this individual was going through some parallel stuff. But they were also trying to maintain their work schedule while they were completely overwhelmed. And I know this person had issues with anxiety, So during one of my visits, I said, hey, I know you're stressed to the max. If you want a place to relax, I got this big hotel room that I'm not going to be there all day. You can have the room, do your work, and just kick it to relax. He took me up on the offer. At some point in the wee hours of the morning, as I was preparing to go visit my mother and spend the day, taking care of her, my friend got a call. Said, hey, where are you? Your house is on fire. I said, hey, we got to go. She completely fell apart. I said, hey, we got to go. Got her back to the area, in no time at all. We got back before the firemen had wrapped up, and the house was just, wow. Okay. Red Cross placed the family. They went from hotel to hotel. Meantime, I'm still doing my thing with my mom, but I'm also making sure that this individual is okay. Come to find out, in that entire process, this individual had hooked up with somebody else, never even bothered to say anything, and I got gut punched in the exchange. I said, we need to talk about. Okay, I'll talk to you. I promise. I'll call you. A couple hours went by, because they promised to call within an hour. A couple hours went by, nothing, so I called. They were going to a yoga class, but they didn't answer the phone. They had their kid tell me they're doing yoga. Okay. Another couple of days went by. Individual basically told me they don't owe me anything. They told me in a text. This ride or die, mind you. In the process of all this being exchanged and back and forth, my mom passed. I was like, wow. And the individual attempted to say, because I said, it's well with my soul, I knew my mom was beyond what medical professionals were saying. you know, and I knew my mom knew the Lord, so hence it is well with my soul. They attempted to, you know, kind of lay this at my doorstep. It's like, okay, but what does that have to do with, you know, you not being available? You know, everything was transactional, and it all came flooding down at once, the passing of my mom. You know, all week I've been asking, hey, you want to hang out? I just need to get my mind right. No, I'm busy working, I'm busy working, I'm busy working. Meantime, in between time, that busy working translated, I'm working on this relationship. I'm seeing this person. Okay. The first weekend after my mom's passing, you decide to tell me, you know, bits and pieces. You've been trickling information, you know. And again, I need to say this. I said this in the past. I saw all the red flags. I did. But because they were so good at covering their stuff, like a cat in a litter box, I ignored the red flags. But then when it was just right there, obvious gut punch, knock me down, wipe your feet on me, you know, I had to look at it because your feet are, you know, I'm seeing size 7, size 8, whatever, because you're wiping your feet on me at this point. So stupid me, in the heat of my anger, I said, I better not see y'all on the street. Then I also said, you know, I'm going to expose you. Because, you know, you're living this lie, I'm part of this lie. And at that point, I got a full blast of, I'm not friendship worthy, you know, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I pretty much have not spoken to that person since. The only reason I spoke to the person, it's been 5 years now, the only reason I spoke to the person is because their child, who I had a connection with, called me. And I don't want anybody to think I'm brainwashing their kids, so, you know, I would let them know, hey, so-and-so contacted me. You know, they requested something. Do you want me to send it, or, you know, how do you want to handle this? You know, I'm no saint in a situation by any means. But I do know I deserve some conversation and some level of respect in the exchange. I do know that you can't blame me for what transpired. I took ownership of my fault. I'm taking ownership of my fault publicly. Because I'm tired of it just permeating things that, you know, I do and say. And I've consistently done that. If you go back to the videos of 2020, I've consistently done that. Although I walked a little bit more circumspect in 2020. You know, times and conditions have changed how I walk and talk about things. You know, there's a level of verbal, out in the open accountability. There's a level of transparency. I've always been accountable, but I'm more transparent about it because I know somebody else is struggling with this. And I want to say amen. So, you know, in the process of all this transpiring, what it boils down to is this particular individual, they were stressed out because they lost their home to the fire. I lost my mom. This particular individual contacted me and let me know. This was a while back. That they were able to buy a home because they had always been saving to buy this home. So that they were able to buy a home. I said, congratulations, which, you know, any civilized person would do. And I left it at that. But I want it to be noted right here, right now, to anybody that is listening, your home was replaced. I can't replace my mom. And so the damage was done right then and there. Think about that as you struggle through whatever you're struggling through and how you're going to get through it and how do you show up on the other side.